Hi, welcome. Thanks for watching this video presentation by Consa. I'm Ray Schaub, and today we're going to be talking about mental fitness for business leaders in recovery. So, I've been a business owner in personal crisis. I closed my business shortly after 9/11 because I had 5 clients in the World Trade Center, and I simply wasn't equipped to handle it all. I've been continuously developing my own mental fitness ever since then, and I'm currently certified to teach mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, which was pioneered by John Kabat-Zinn in the 70s. And I'm also working on my coaching certification in positive intelligence. Today, I'm building a coaching practice with a focus on helping others who might be going through similar circumstances because it's a lived experience for me, and I can easily speak from it. So regardless of your current circumstances, I hope you find a friend in me today. And let's just take a moment to congratulate ourselves. Yay! This is a positive step you've taken just to watch this video and to explore a little bit more about mental fitness. So I want to start by saying that everyone engages in some form of self-sabotaging thinking. So I stumbled across this article recently in HuffPost, and its headline was, "If you're feeling overwhelmed, psychologists want you to stop doing these 5 things." And it had the subtitle, "We are all guilty of self-sabotaging." It is so true. But the key questions for many of us are, how long do we engage in these thoughts? Do they affect our decisions and our behavior? Can we interrupt these thoughts? Can we change them into something more positive and productive? So right now, I just want to take a moment. Let's take 60 seconds and let's ground ourselves in this present moment. You're going to hear a beginning bell and then an ending bell. And in that time, just sit and breathe and be in the space that you're currently in. How did that feel? So for many of us, we've probably been racing through our day today. We've been trying to catch something or avoid something or whatever. We might have felt like we're on a bit of a hamster wheel today. And Formula One race car drivers know that you're not going to win the race unless you take some pit stops. And what we just did is we allowed our racing minds to pause for a pit stop. And that's one of the key elements of mental fitness. So what is mental fitness? It's the ability to deal with our daily challenges, no matter how numerous, large, or serious, in a balanced and reasonable way by shifting our focus from negative to positive thoughts and actions. So what do I mean by a business leader? Well, it can be anybody in the C-suite, like a CEO, a CFO, a CMO. It can be the founder, owner, solopreneur of a business. You might be working by yourself in an operation. Or maybe you're the rainmaker in a large organization and what you're generating a lot of their revenue through sales or some other activity. And you might just be a department or a division head with a lot of the same responsibilities as an owner. You might have a boss that you answer to, and you also probably answer to maybe a board or investors, colleagues, employees, customers, vendors, contractors, suppliers. There are a lot of people tugging at your shirt for your attention. And then what do I mean by recovery? Well, I'm talking about anyone who's in active recovery from any form of addiction, including, but not limited to, alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, etc. And to be really clear, this type of work is not a frontline defense against addiction. However, it can be an amazing booster to other modalities you might be using in your recovery. So now exactly how do we go about attaining mental fitness? Well, it's like going to the gym for your mind. When we start out at the gym, we generally pick up light weights. We do a few reps to start, and we try to enjoy the process. We try to do it in such a way that we'll be encouraged to come back the next day. And what we're doing when we're in the gym is we're building muscle. And in order to do that, consistency is the key, not the amount of weights, not the number of reps, but the fact that we do it repeatedly over the course of time. And what we want to do is experience growth. We want to have an experience of that growth. We want to be able to look in the gym and say, wow, I look buff, or I'm losing weight, or I feel stronger or more energetic. It might be as simple as getting out of a chair easier for some of us. And the idea is that we want to maintain this. We want to do this so that it becomes a way of life for us, and that we miss it when it's skipped. In mental fitness, what we're trying to build instead of muscle, we're trying to build self-command, which is the ability to intentionally change our focus from negative to positive thoughts and actions. And we do this through these science-based exercises that are supported by metrics. And what we don't need long meditation sits. We don't need yoga. We don't need a huge time commitment or a private space. All of those are wonderful things to have and are great additions to have for any mental fitness program, but you don't need them. So as a mental fitness trainer, I try to help you maintain your focus and become accountable. So I cheer you on. I give you pointers. I give you advice. I'm available to you when you're having difficulties. And just like a gym class, mental fitness is often taught in groups called pods. And we are there to share our experience, spur each other on, and help hold each other accountable and be available to each other for support. Now, what mental fitness isn't, it's not psychiatry, it's not psychotherapy, it's not religion, it's not spirituality. However, for many people, it has served as a powerful complement to all of those. Now, what are the benefits? Peak performance is one. So is peace of mind and wellness. And then healthier relationships of all kinds, whether there are personal, close relationships, or they're business relationships, or even friendships, can improve through mental fitness. Now, when we start out, we're usually coming in here feeling quite a bit pulled apart. So, as I said before, things are tugging at us. And one of the things that's tugging at us is our recovery. Whatever we're doing, whether we're making meetings or we're in therapy or psychiatry or what have you, it is something that we have to devote time to. And sometimes we feel like it's tugging at us. And then there's the business with all those stakeholders I just mentioned. And then there's the family. There's spouses and children and parents and loved ones and extended family, all who have a vested stake in our recovery. And then for many people, there are legal matters. Oftentimes when people first enter recovery, there are things that they have to clean up. There might be DUIs, there might be civil suits of some sort or another. but those are also often pulling at us. And then there's medical issues. Most of the time, people in an active addiction are not taking very good care of themselves. And so it suddenly becomes necessary to follow up on a lot of things as soon as we enter recovery. Mental fitness, however, kind of pulls it all together. And we start operating from a centered, balanced place. And we start to shine from that place where it all feels kind of seamless. It all feels kind of one. We're on one path with life. We're simply taking things in the order that they're arising in our lives, and it gets much easier to deal with. And we do that by learning how to respond to life rather than react to it. So here's an example from my own personal experience. When I first entered recovery, I was involved in several really acrimonious lawsuits, and I was getting served so many summonses. It was so overwhelming, and my head would just explode. And the very first thing I might do is call my lawyer, and I would vent at him, and he'd hear that energy, and he'd vent back, "Hey, yo, dude, why are you saying all this on the phone?" You know, probably wasn't prudent for me to be saying some of the things I was saying on the phone. Then at that time, I might have called my psychiatrist, and I'd be venting and fuming at him too. And then he wouldn't have anything else to say. Maybe we should adjust your meds, and that might ignite me. And then perhaps I'd call a therapist, and the therapist would say something that would also fuel me. "You know, this is all about your mother, right?" Well, that didn't help. And my head is still exploding. I'm not talking to any of these people with the idea of calming down or of coming to a centered, balanced place. I am calling all these people to get them to validate my anxiety and my anger. And, with that, I might call a friend, and I'm venting at him, and he's probably heard it all before. And he says, "Dude, why are you so freaked out?" "You'd be freaked out too." And that would go off. And then I remember I would call that person who I considered to be my coach at the time. And the first thing that person would say is, "Ray, do you feel the phone in your hand?" And it would just stop me for a pause. And I'd have the phone there and I'd go, yeah, I do. And he'd say, "Start there." And what he meant was get present in this moment before continuing on. And so now, after doing all this work, I respond to life rather than react to it. And when I get served a summons, or I get some other shocking piece of news or something I wasn't expecting and didn't like, my head might still explode. And in this case, though, I would probably start backwards. I would start with that coach, or at least invoking that wisdom of the coach, and reminding myself to feel the phone in my hand. And that will immediately calm me down in most cases. Then when I call the friend, I can talk to him in a reasonable, sane, balanced voice. "Hey, I just got some really bad news. Are you okay?" "Yeah, I think I'm okay." And we can continue the conversation. And if I were to call a therapist, I'd be able to say something much more cogent to them. Say, "Hey, something just triggered me. Do you know what it was?" "Yeah, I think I do." If I call a psychiatrist, I can give them something clinical, medical that they can deal with, a symptom. And then they can say, "Hey, do you think it'll pass?" And yeah, actually I do. Well, then there's nothing else to do. But notice in each of these cases, the face in the center is not getting happy. It's getting softer. It's getting more balanced and neutral. And now, when I call the lawyer, I can now have a reasonable discussion with him. "I'm worried." And the lawyer can say what the best lawyers say, "Can you let me handle it?" Yeah. So you can see how now I'm responding to life rather than reacting to it. And I'm not necessarily getting happy. I'm getting responsive. I might get happy. I might be able to switch my mindset to where I get very happy. But we're not talking about looking at things through rose-colored glasses. We're talking about looking at them through clear glasses. So emotional reactions are generated by self-sabotaging thinking, always. Research has distilled this self-sabotaging down to these 10 internal voices that I'm going to call your saboteurs. And among them are the judge, the hyperachiever, the hypervigilant, the hyperrational, the controller, a pleaser, a stickler, avoider, victim, restless. And you might have one or any combination of these in different degrees. And these aren't labels. You are not the judge. You are not the hyperachiever. These are elements. These are voices that speak within you that can be changed. They can be quieted. They can be redirected. And everyone has these voices in different combinations and to different degrees. So reasonable responses like the one I just outlined are generated by wise thinking. Research has distilled this wisdom down to 5 internal voices that we'll call your sages. And those sages are empathize, explore, innovate, navigate, and activate. Everyone has all these powers within them. It's just a matter of calling them out. And we can do this through a mental fitness program that'll take you from saboteur to sage in 6 short weeks. And then we'll teach you how to maintain that mental fitness and how to grow it, how to grow those sage powers within you going forward. Now, I teach this in 2 tracks. One is a discovery track, and that's a 6-week track that's designed for anyone who feels that they're ready to start with mental fitness. And then I teach a 4-month immersive track, and that's designed specifically for business leaders in recovery who may have a lot to lose if they can't get their stuff together. And I'm not going to talk about money here because I offer a money-back guarantee. If you follow this program earnestly, and if at the end of it you don't see a substantive change in your response to life, I'll refund whatever percentage you think is fair, up to and including 100%. No kidding. So what I wanted to invite you to do at this point is to scan this QR code, or to, you'll see some links in the comments section below that can take you to a saboteur assessment. It's a quick survey, a few minutes long, that will assess what saboteurs and to what degree they're behaving within you. And if you send me those results, I'll be happy to schedule a free 90-minute coaching session to go over them with you, as well as describe any pricing and logistics for my program if you're interested. And I really look forward to connecting with you. If you haven't already, please connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to me at my email address, ray@rayschaub.com. Thank you so much for being here today, and I hope I get a chance to meet you. Take care.